Hello, everybody. This is the Strat-O-Matic Baseball 1986 Major League Baseball replay. We are heading into Week 12, which is June 23rd through June 29th of 1986. So let's start it up with a little recap. Heading into the week, we got the Baltimore Orioles, who are 38-29. They're 3.5 games in first place. In the Centrals, the Detroit Tigers, they're 36-32. They're 2 games up in first. And in the West, we got the California Angels, who are 45-24, and they're a game up in first. Over in the National League, in the East, we got the New York Mets, who are 41-26. They are 3 games up in first. In the Central, we got the Chicago Cubs, who are 35-33. They are 2.5 games up in first. And out west, we got the Los Angeles Dodgers are 41-28, and they are 3.5 games up. So let's look at some trades and transactions. Again, some of them are fictional and some of them are accurate. As for the fictional ones that I did, that would be all the ones from dated the 23rd. So we got Greg Gross going to the California Angels for Doug Corbett, who's going to go to the Phillies. And then Steve Jeltz is traded to the Texas Rangers for Curtis Wilkinson, who will be with the Phillies. And then after the Curtis Wilkins, all that information is actually accurate of what happened during the 1986 season. So lefty Steve Carlton was released by the Philadelphia Phillies on June 24th. Gorman Thomas was released by the Seattle Mariners on June 25th. Scott Bradley of the Chicago White Sox was traded to the Seattle Mariners on the 26th of June. And then on the 29th, there was a trade between both Sox teams. The White Sox get Steve Lyons, and the Red Sox pick up Tom Seaver. So that is the transactions from this particular week, 1986. Again, the ones dated to 23rd are ones that I just did, so they're kind of more fictional. And everything starting from Steve Carlton down are accurate. So let's continue. So let's head into the week. So we have Monday, June 23rd. We got the New York Yankees at the Boston Red Sox. Boston Red Sox starting pitcher Mike Trejo shutouts the Yanks 1-0. Minnesota Twins at the Chicago White Sox. Minnesota's right fielder Randy Bush buries Chicago White Sox starting pitcher Joe Cowley with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs in a 7-1 victory. Cincinnati Reds at the Houston Astros. Houston Astros closer Dave Smith blows another game with 2 runs allowed in the 9th. Cincinnati wins 7-6. Oakland A's at the Kansas City Royals. Royals third baseman George Brett goes 2 for 2 with 5 RBIs in a 10-3 victory. Atlanta Braves at the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers cream Atlanta's starting pitcher Joe Johnson in the blowout. Dodgers big over the Braves, 11-2. Montreal Expos at the New York Mets. New York Mets right fielder Darryl Strawberry's 2-base error in extra dooms the Mets in the division game. Montreal in the extras, 4-2 in 13. Chicago Cubs at the Philadelphia Phillies. Chicago Cubs starting pitcher Jamie Moyer walks 10, and Phillies avenge the no-hitter from last time he faced them in W. Phillies win 8-1. Cleveland Indians at the Seattle Mariners. Seattle's DH Gorman Thomas's grand slam carries the M's to victory. Seattle over Cleveland 6-1. San Diego Padres at the San Francisco Giants. San Francisco buries the Padres bullpen late in their victory. Giants over Padres 7-2. Pittsburgh Pirates at the St. Louis Cardinals. Pittsburgh stays hot with the 6th win in a row, 3-1 over the Cardinals. California Angels at the Texas Rangers. California and starting pitcher John Candelaria steamroll Texas 8-0. And the final game on Monday, the Milwaukee Brewers at the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto right fielder Jesse Barfield has a walk-off single in extras in 10. Toronto over Milwaukee 6-5. Tuesday the 24th. Yankees at Red Sox. Yankees starting pitcher Dennis Rasmussen one-hits the Red Sox 4-0. Twins at the White Sox. Minnesota starting pitcher Neil Heaton 3-hits the White Sox 6-0. Orioles at Tigers. Baltimore's right fielder John Shelby's error in the 7th is costly for the Orioles. Tigers managed to win 7-5. Reds at Astros. Astros starting pitcher Nolan Ryan K's 11 in the 8-3 victory. A's at Royals. Royals third baseman George Brett has a walk-off single in the 9th. Royals over the A's 5-4. Braves at Dodgers. LA pours on 5 runs in the 6th for the victory 7-4. Expos at the Mets. Montreal rocks El Cid 7-1. Cubs at Phillies. Phillies center fielder Ron Renick's walk-off single in the 9th secures the victory 7-6 over the Cubs. Indians at Mariners. Indians tag Seattle starting pitcher Mark Langston in 13-4 crushing. Padres at the Giants. Giants second baseman Robbie Thompson's RBI single in the 8th seals the deal for the Giants 6-4. Pirates at Cardinals. Pittsburgh center fielder Barry Bonds' sac fly helps Pittsburgh win in extras 4-3. California Angels at the Texas Rangers. Angels third baseman Doug DeCente's solo shot in the 8th is enough to carry the Angels to a 3-2 victory. In the final game for Tuesday, the Brewers at the Blue Jays. Brewers self-destruct in the 7th, giving up 3 runs and the lead to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays win 6-3. Wednesday, June 25th. Yankees at Red Sox. Red Sox 4-run first carries the Sox to victory. Red Sox over the Yankees 6-3. Twins at White Sox. White Sox third baseman Chris Spires grand slam puts the White Sox over the Twins 6-5. Orioles at the Tigers. Orioles can't recover from Detroit's 4-run 6th inning. Tigers over O's 8-5. Reds at Astros. Astros left fielder Jose Cruz walk-off single in the 11th. Astros over Reds 4-3. A's at Royals. Oakland's right fielder Mike Davis's error in 4th opens the floodgates in the loss. Royals win 5-1. Braves at Dodgers. Atlanta's bats come alive in 5 for a 4-run 5th inning to carry them to the win 6-2 over the Dodgers. Expos at the Mets. New York Mets right fielder Darryl Strawberry's error in extras costs the Mets again. Expos win 1-0. Cubs at Phillies. The Cubs tee off on the Philadelphia pitching. Cubs win 9-3. Indians at the Mariners. The Indians scalp the M's 12-3. Padres at Giants. Padres KO starting pitcher for the Giants, Mike Lacoste, early for the win. Padres win 9-5. Pirates at Cardinals. Pirates catcher Tony Pena gets 5 RBIs in the beating of the Cards, 9-2. Angels at Rangers. Angels sweep Texas with a 4-run sixth. Angels 6, Rangers 3. Brewers at Blue Jays for the final game on Wednesday. Blue Jays right fielder Herm Winningham's walk-off triple with the bases loaded wins it for Toronto 4-2 over the Brewers. And on a light schedule for Thursday the 26th, Orioles at the Tigers. Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Jack Morris no-hits the Orioles 3-0. And that's the second no-hitter of the season, with the first one going to Chicago Cubs starting pitcher Jamie Moyer. Jack Morris gets the second no-hitter of the season. A's at the Royals. The A's bury the Royals pitching staff with 16 runs. And the final game for Thursday, the Rangers at the Mariners. Texas continues to struggle with their 6th straight loss. Mariners win 10-2. Friday, June 27th. San Diego Padres at the Atlanta Braves. Padres' 9th inning rally falls 1 run short in the loss. Braves win 4-3. Boston Red Sox at the Baltimore Orioles. Red Sox 3-run 7th pushes Sox over the O's 3-2. Cleveland Indians at the California Angels. California explodes with 5 runs in the second to aid them in their victory 6-4. New York Mets at the Chicago Cubs. Cubs third baseman Ron Cey walk-off 3-run homer in the 9th for the win, 9-6. San Francisco Giants at the Cincinnati Reds. The Giants feast on the Reds pitching in their win, 7-3. Milwaukee Brewers at the Detroit Tigers. Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Walt Terrell shuts down the Brewers 9-0. Los Angeles Dodgers at the Houston Astros. Dodgers DH Greg Brock's solo shot in extras is good enough for the win. Dodgers win 6-5 and 10. Kansas City Royals at the Minnesota Twins. Twins 6-run 7th crowns the Royals 6-1. Toronto Blue Jays at the New York Yankees. Toronto gets timely hits in extras to slip past the Yanks 4-2 and 12. Chicago White Sox at the Oakland A's. Oakland A's starting pitcher Moose Haas limits the White Sox to 2 runs in the victory. A's win 7-2. Montreal Expos at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates first baseman Sid Bream's walk-off double in the 9th wins it for the Pirates 4-3. Texas Rangers at the Seattle Mariners. The M's smash the Rangers staff 13-7. Philadelphia Phillies at the St. Louis Cardinals. Phillies starting pitcher Shane Raleigh blanks the Cards 2-0. Saturday, June 28th. Padres at the Braves. Atlanta's ninth inning rally falls one run short. Padres win 9-8. Red Sox at the Orioles. The Red Sox red hot start carries them over the O's 7-2. Indians at the Angels. Tribe overcomes a 4-run deficit to win 5-4. Mets at Cubs. The Mets' woes continue. Cubs win 8-5. San Francisco Giants at the Cincinnati Reds. Reds' long ball spoils San Francisco's win streak. Reds win 8-3. Brewers at Tigers. Tigers catcher Lance Parrish's second homer of the game helps Tigers win 4-2 in 10. Dodgers at Astros. Astros can't figure out the Dodgers pitching, lose another game against the Dodgers 10-2. Royals at the Twins. Twins have 3 costly errors that expand the Royals' lead. Royals win 6-1. Blue Jays at the Yankees. Blue Jays third baseman Rance Mulliniks goes 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs in the Toronto's 8-5 win. White Sox at the A's. The A's destroy the White Sox pitching staff yet again. A's win 12-4. Expos at the Pirates. Expos finally get past the Pirates 4-2. Rangers at the Mariners. Texas ends its 8th-game losing streak by beating the Mariners 7-3. And the final game, Phillies at the Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals starting pitcher Bob Forsch blanks the Phillies 5-0. And on the final game of the week, Sunday, June 29th, Padres at the Braves. The Braves tag starting pitcher for San Diego, Dave Dravecky, for 9 and 4 innings. Atlanta wins 9-4. Red Sox at Orioles. Red Sox bats awaken at the end of the game to get 7 runs. Red Sox win 8-1. Indians at the Angels. California starting pitcher John Candelaria allows 1 run in a complete game. Angels win 6-1. Mets at Cubs. Mets' 6-run first allowed them to end their 8-game losing streak. They beat the Cubs 13-8. Giants and Reds. Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher Bill Gullickson stifles the Giants 3-0. Brewers at Tigers. In the first game of a doubleheader, Detroit starting pitcher Frank Tanana blanks the Brew Crew 5-0. And in the nightcap of the game 2, the Brewers and Tigers, starting pitcher Eric King limits the Brewers to 1 run, and the Tigers win 3-1, sweeping that doubleheader. Los Angeles Dodgers at the Houston Astros. Astros' 9th inning rally falls 1 run short. Dodgers win 9-8. Royals at Twins. Royals shortstop Angel Salazar's 2-run double propels the Royals to win in extras. Royals over Twins 5-3 in 12. Blue Jays at Yankees. Toronto sweeps the Yankees. Toronto wins 4-2. White Sox at the A's. White Sox left fielder Brian Dayett goes 3 for 3 with 1 home run and 4 RBIs in the 10-5 victory over the A's. The Expos at the Pirates. Pirates second baseman Donnie Hill's 2-run single with the bases loaded in the 8th carries the Pirates over the Expos 5-3. Texas Rangers at the Seattle Mariners. Seattle's first baseman, Elvin Davis, has a walk-off solo shot in the ninth for the Mariners win 9-8. And the final game of the week, the Phillies at the Cardinals. The Phillies pad the lead with 2 in the ninth for the win. Phillies win 6-3. And that's your week recap. So the Week 12 summary. The top teams for the week were the Detroit Tigers that went 7-0. Blue Jays went 6-0. Boston Red Sox went 5-1. California Angels went 5-1. The Pittsburgh Pirates went 5-1. The not top teams. The Milwaukee Brewers went 0-7. Baltimore Orioles went 0-6. Texas Rangers went 1-6. New York Mets went 1-5. And the New York Yankees went 1-5. So there's your top teams and not so top teams of the week. So let's look at the AL standings as of June 29th. With all of that going on, we got the Toronto Blue Jays are now in first in the East. They're up by 2.5 games over the Baltimore Orioles. The Detroit Tigers stay hot. They won 10 in a row, and they're up by 5.5 games over the Twins. California Angels are in first place still. They padded up over the sweep of the Rangers and them losing 8 in a row. California's 50 wins and 25 losses, the best record in American League, and they're up by 5.5 games over the Rangers. So the power ranking, and we got it right here. We got the Angels at 50 and 25. They're 1. Rangers are 2. Tigers 3. Blue Jays 4. Orioles 5. Red Sox 6. Athletics 7. Twins are 8. Royals are 9. Indians are 10. Yankees are 11. White Sox are 12. Mariners are 13th. And the Brewers are sitting at the 14th. They've also lost 10 in a row. Heading off to the National League. Well, we got a tie for first place between the Montreal Expos and the New York Mets. They're just percentage points off. 0.2 thousandths points. So there's a tie there for the first in the East. In the Central, we got the Chicago Cubs that are 38 and 36. They're 2.5 games up on the Reds. And the Los Angeles Dodgers, they kind of pulled away with the sweep of the Astros. Dodgers are 46 and 29. They have the best record in the National League, and they're 6.5 games ahead of the Astros. Which leads to the power rankings of the National League. We got the Dodgers are first at 46 and 29. Then we get the Expos are second. Mets are third. Pirates are fourth. Astros fifth. Sixth are the Phillies. Seventh are the Cubs. Eighth the Reds. Ninth the Braves. 10th the Padres. The 11th is the Giants. And last is the St. Louis Cardinals with a 25 and 49 record. So, some American League batting stats as of June 29th. The team with the most categories leads, the Boston Red Sox. They lead 4 of the categories listed here. Some points of matter here. We got the Cleveland Indians. They're still hitting the ball well. 287 team average. It's just too bad their pitching isn't that great. Red Sox have 175 doubles. Detroit Tigers have 112 home runs as a team. And New York Yankees walk the most, 322 walks. California Angels have the most stolen bases at 105. And Texas Rangers commit the least amount of errors with only 44. And the Oakland Athletics have the least amount of players on base at 533. Now Heading over to the pitching staff for the American League. California Angels pitching staff just leads the way. They have the best record, 50-25. They have 25 saves. They have 16 holds. They have a 3.24 ERA, which is pretty good. They have 533 strikeouts. They have 6 shutouts. Troy Tigers have the most complete games at 22. Angels pitching staff is definitely carrying the team. If their bats were a little bit just slightly better, they'd probably have 60 wins by now. So in the National League, we got the San Diego Padres and New York Mets, who've been kind of battling back and forth all season. They're tied with the most categories. They lead in between. Padres have a .269 batting average. The Mets have a .428 slugging percentage. The Mets have the most RBIs in the National League. The Giants have the most doubles with 160. Dodgers have the most home runs with 91. We got New York Mets. They walk the most at 273. And they got the Padres strike out the least amount of times at 382 times. Cardinals have 164 stolen bases. Expos commit the least amount of errors at 39 as a team. And they also have the least left men on base at 504. So the pitching staff for the National League is the Mets and the Dodgers here, mainly because the Mets' 6 to 8 game losing streak, that didn't help them. But the Mets still have the best ERA in the National League at 3.42. They have the most strikeouts at 543. And they're tied with the Cardinals, Astros with 5 shutouts apiece. And the Giants and Braves have 14 holds apiece. And there's a 4-way tie for saves between the Expos, Dodgers, Giants, and Reds at 20. So that's your pitching staff. Those on the disabled list for the American League as of 29th. I got some guys coming back. Rick Leach has been on 15 games. He's coming back July 3rd. Ricky Henderson, who's been on for a while, he's coming back July 8th. Harold Baines and Dan Gladden both got hit with 15 games on the DL. Gladden got hurt on striking out, and he's out for 15 games. And then Baines got hurt by getting hit by a pitch prior to that. So those guys are out for 15 games. That's going to hurt the White Sox a little bit. For the National League, only a couple guys should be returning soon. Steve Sachs, he's out for 4 games with the Dodgers. That's going to hurt them a little bit. So let's go to the career milestone update. So, we're following the 4 guys for the milestones. Don Sutton for 300 wins. Steve Carlton for 4,000 strikeouts. Burt Blyleven for 3,000 strikeouts. And Mike Schmidt for 500 home runs in a career. So let's start off with Don Sutton, which, if you guys have been following, knew he hit the 300 mark a while ago. So he's currently having a good season. He has 11 wins and 3 losses, so he's up to 306 wins. So he hit that milestone, but we'll still continue to follow him. Burt Blyleven, he's currently sitting at 101 strikeouts on the season, and he's currently 24 strikeouts back of 3,000. So he keeps on. He's averaging 1.3 strikeouts per inning pitched. So he keeps this up. He's definitely going to hit the 3,000 mark sometime in August. Then we go to Steve Carlton. Steve Carlton, who's currently 10 back of 4,000. He has 70 strikeouts on the year. But as of June 24th, the Philadelphia Phillies have released Lefty, and he is currently out there in free agency. So he's sitting out there just 10 strikeouts away from 4,000. So that's going to currently hold him up until he signs with another team, if he signs with another team. And then Mike Schmidt, who has 18 home runs on the season. That puts him at 476 for his career. He is 24 home runs away from 500. If he hits 24 more, I've put him at 42 for the season. He has never hit no more than 40 in a season. So as long as he stays healthy, he might be able to come close. So those are the milestones that we're looking at as of the 29th. So the AL stat leaders as of June 29th. So we got Wally Joyner, leads the American League with 367 batting average. George Bell has 22 home runs. Bill Buckner has 64 RBIs. Gary Pettis has 73 stolen bases. And a quick look, there's no one on there that's gonna not challenging for the Triple Crown for the batting side. And then on the pitching side, we got Moose Haas, a 1.84 ERA. Mike Witt, Moose Haas, Dennis Rasmussen, Don Sutton, and John Candelaria all have 11 wins. Roger Clemens has 131 strikeouts. And Donnie Moore has 25 saves. So again, there's no one on there in the pitching looking for the pitching Triple Crown either. So these are your AL leaders in these categories as of the 29th of June. In the National League, we got Steve Sachs, who's hitting 331. Darryl Strawberry and Mike Schmidt both have 18 home runs. Vaughn Hayes has 52 RBIs. Vince Coleman has 73 stolen bases. Pitching wise, and again, there's no one in contention for the batting Triple Crown in the National League. Pitching wise, we got Sid Fernandez at a 1.96 ERA. We got Mike Scott, Bob Ojeda, Shane Rawley, Sid Fernandez, and Jose De Leon, all at 11 wins. Mike Scott has 152 strikeouts, and John Franco has 20 saves. Now, El Cid here is in the top 5 for the 3 Magic categories. He's first in ERA. He's tied for first with wins, and he has 113 strikeouts. So let's keep an eye on him. He might be able to creep up and hold that over. So, since we finished checking all the divisions and their teams, we went through all the National League, all the American League. We're going to kind of start over again, but this time we're just going to look at the American League division leaders. And that's the 3 as of this moment. We got the Toronto Blue Jays, who are 24-34. Detroit Tigers are 43-32. And the California Angels are 50-25. So right now, the California Angels are the best team in the American League, followed by the Detroit Tigers, and then the Toronto Blue Jays when it comes to the divisions. So there's your top 3 seeds there as of the 29th of June. So let's take a look a little bit more at these 3 teams. So the California batting, like I said before, hitting 256 as a team. The only bright spot offensively has been the rookie first baseman Wally Joyner, who leads pretty much the whole team in all offensive categories. Everyone else is kind of holding their own or doing subpar. Again, thank God for their pitching. Their pitching has been holding them over, but if they got another 1 or 2 guys here that get hot, like Reggie Jackson or Doug DeCences, even Brian Downing, then they could really go far in the playoffs. But as of right now, Wally Joyner's their biggest spark leader, and Gary Pettis, when he gets on base, he is trouble. Everyone else is just in the weeds. And also, for those trying to read this, highlighted yellow is what the team leaders. And then if they are highlighted in green letters, they are a rookie, or rookie based off of the major league expectations for a rookie. All the way at the right, you'll see a red G. That is the games in green. Those are the actual games played in 1986. So I kind of use that as a basis to help me as I'm playing along. Something new, and I actually wasn't really paying attention, and I kind of rectified it this week, is I went through all the teams and I made sure they all had 24 active roster spots. Every team has definitely more than 24 players, but from 1986 through 1989 or 1990, 24 was the max roster for Major League Baseball teams, and then it went out to 25 after 90. So I'm trying to make sure that I have 24 active players. So my inactive players, or guys that might be in the minors, I didn't release them, are the guys in this kind of like a light peach highlight here. So Jack Howell, Devon White, and Greg Gross, they would be considered in the minors. So I won't have them. They won't be eligible to play in any of the games unless someone gets hurt, and then I keep an eye on the 24 man roster. So I'm doing that going forward, where I kind of forgot. The pitching staff, same exact thing here. The pitching staff is just phenomenal. 3.24 ERA. Outside of Ron Romanek, everyone has double-digit wins. John Candelaria, 2.71 ERA. Those guys are they're killing it. And then with Candelaria, Witt, and McCaskill having over 100 strikeouts, it's a tough pitching staff. And Don Sutton, he's holding his own too. So again, here, just to explain a little bit on this, again, the tannish colors, those two pitchers, T.R. Bryden and Vern Rule, they would be in the minors because they're part of the less than 24. Doug Corbett, that bluish line, he was traded away. So that usually means that the player's either been released or traded away. He was traded. And then up in the corner here, Mike Witt, McCaskill, and Sutton, that highlighted green, that means that they were an asterisk on the roster sheet, meaning one of those guys could pitch after 3 games rest. So I've yet to do that yet. Maybe as we get further along, closer to the end of the season, might use some of those to my advantage to kind of help the teams out. But those are the 3 pitchers that could pitch within 3 games rest. And then all over here on the right, where the red G, red GS, and the P is, that is their 1986 games pitched and their games started and the games that they were in. So again, I kind of use that to help me out a little bit throughout the season. So let's go on to the Detroit Tigers. There's a lot going on here with the Tigers. Variety of characters here. They're hitting less than the Angels at 255. Their pitching's come on strong lately, and their bats are just consistent. A lot of steals, a lot of home runs. They're getting on base and hitting them in. So these guys who've won the last 10 in a row, they've been actually big surprise. I didn't think they were going to do that much this year, but man, they won 10 in a row, and they put them right in first place. And I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. So there's your guys there. Only thing different on here is if you can see Mike Heath. He's in purple across the board. He gets traded to the Tigers in August. So for now, he's listed as a roster player, but he's not going to start playing any games until after that August 10th date. Currently, he's sitting on the St. Louis Cardinals. The pitching staff, same thing here. Mark Thurman and Jim Slayton, they're going to come sometime in July via trades. And then Dave LaPointe, he's going to be traded. Jack Morris throwing that no-hitter during this week. He's starting to get hot. He's 8-6. And there's your pitching staff there. Their bullpen is starting to clean up a little bit. Willie Hernandez, who had horrendous April and May with blown saves and losses left and right, has come on strong so far. Has 10 saves and a sub 2.05 ERA. So that's sparking a lot of the Tigers' wins too. So as long as he gets back on healthy, they're going to be a tough team down the stretch. And then we got the Toronto Blue Jays. These guys have been consistent all year long. These guys are the defending American League champions, American League East champions. And they're just a solid team. They have the power. They have the guys get on, hitting the 273 batting average. They don't commit too many errors. And if only 49 as a team, that's pretty good. More falls on their pitching staff. Pitching staff could be a little bit better. But their offense is a tough offense. And as for the pitching staff, there you go. A lot of 500s there. You got Dave Stieb at 6-6, Jimmy Key at 7-7, Jim Clancy at 7-4, John Cerruti at 7-6, Doyle Alexander at 6-8. So they have gotten hot this month toward the end of May and throughout June. So they're trouble as long as their pitching staff can stay there. 4.27 ERA. So that's the only thing that could kind of melt those guys is their pitching staff. Okay, and the final thing before we end the week here, and we're going to go over the All-Star Game ballot candidates per position as of the 29th. I know prior we had the top 5 for everybody. I was able to figure out some type of a formula to get these guys ballots based off of their stats. So these are the current ballots based off of all their stats. And I have the top 4 for each position. And with the top 2 going to make it to the All-Star Game. Next week is the final week where we'll find out at the end of July 6th who will be our American League starters and our American League reserves. So start off with, we got the catchers. You got Ernie Witt, who's the top ballot getter over Jim Sundberg. And then we got first base, Wally Joyner over Bill Buckner. Second base, we got Frank White over Marty Barrett. And we got Tony Fernandez over Alfredo Griffin. And you got Wade Boggs over Gary Gaetti. So in the outfield, this I didn't do outfield per se. I went by their position. It's just a lot easier. So we got Harold Baines in right field over Kirk Gibson. We got Gary Pettis over Ricky Henderson. It's not helping that Henderson's on the 15-day DL. We got George Bell over Jim Rice. And the DH, we got Darrell Evans over Dave Kingman as of right now. And then I also did the pitchers too. I know usually the pitching is, picked by the manager, but I went by ballots here, just tried to make it somewhat fair. So I got the top 4 closers, the top 3 relievers, more or less setup men and middle relief. And then I have the top 10 starting pitchers. So right now we got Donnie Moore and Don A's as the top closers. We got Steve Farr as the best setup man. And then pitching-wise, the no-hitter helped a little bit with the stats. So Jack Morris and Mike Witt and John Candelaria and Bert Blyleven. We'll narrow this down a little bit more after next week. But there's your potential all-star pitching staff. So let's head over to the National League. National League, we got Gary Carter, who's over Jody Davis. Von Hayes over Keith Hernandez. We got Steve Sachs over Juan Samuel. Got Ozzie Smith over Huey Brooks. And we got Mike Schmidt over Jim Morrison. And that's your National League. In the outfield for the National League, we got in right Tony Gwynn over Kevin Boss. Lenny Dykstra over Eric Davis. We got Tim Raines over Vince Coleman. And for DH, we got Ron Say over Pedro Guerrero. And again, here's the pitching staff. We got Lee Smith and John Franco. We got Andy McGaffigan for middle relief. And then we got Mike Scott and Nolan Ryan, the two starting pitchers in both leagues that have over 1 million ballots. So there's your pitching staff. And again, guys, too, if you're following along, too, we're following just like with the major leagues here, even though most of your top vote getters are going to get the starting positions, but we have to make sure every team is represented. So that might come down to a couple spots that we're going to need down the line. So, but that's a next week thing. So, guys, as always, thanks for following along. I'll try to see what we could do getting maybe a game or two played. That takes some time. But this is another recap of Week 12. Guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. Has been following along pretty good. Again, you ever have any questions, you always email me or write in a comment. It's always nice to see that someone's following along, making some comments. And, thank you for watching my recap. And this is Week 12, 1986 Major League Baseball recap from June 23rd to June 29th. Thanks for watching. And as always, guys, play ball.